Today's free pattern sew-along is the Alira funnel neck knit dress from Tiana's Closet. I'm using a waffle knit for this project, and I'm not going to be finishing my raw edges as I sew, one of my favorite things about sewing with knit fabrics. For all of my vertical seams, I'm using a narrow zigzag stitch with a width of 0.5 and a length of 2.5. For my hems, I'm using a wider zigzag, a length and width of 3. And for the neckband, which requires the most stretch, I used a lightning bolt stitch. This dress is a cozy choice for fall and winter, and it's great for thicker knits too. Now let's get started sewing. Here is one of my front dress pieces, and I'm going to attach one of the pockets. Place the pocket right sides together with the side seam. I'm going to place the top of my pocket at the lower notch from the pattern piece and pin in place. I'll repeat for the opposite front dress piece. I'll sew each of my pockets in place with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once the pockets are initially sewn, we're going to understitch, turning the pocket over its seam allowance, giving that a good press, then edge stitching close to that original seam, sewing the pocket to its seam allowance. Do this for both front pockets. Now I'll place my front dress pieces right sides together and pin my center front seam. I'm going to sew this seam from top to bottom with a 3/8 inch seam allowance and then press the seam open. Repeat to attach your remaining pockets at the side seams for your back pieces, sewing once again at a 1/4 inch, pressing the pockets away from the garment and then understitching. Then once again, in the same way as the front, place your back pieces right sides together along that center seam. Sew the center seam from top to bottom at 3/8 inch and press the seam open. Now we can place our front and back dress pieces right sides together at the side seams, aligning the pockets. Pin from the top around the pocket to the bottom of the garment. Doing this on both sides. Now on both sides, we'll sew from the top, maintaining a 3/8 inch seam allowance around the pocket and down to the bottom of the hem. Then we can pin the front and back pieces together at the shoulder seams and sew at 3/8 inch. Fold your sleeves right sides together and pin the underarm. Sew with a 3/8 inch seam allowance and press the seams open. Fold up your sleeves hem allowance to the wrong side by 3/4 inch and give it a good press. Then edge stitch in place with your preferred stretch stitch and repeat for the bottoms of both sleeves. Turn your sleeve right side out and place the sleeve right sides together with the armhole for the dress that's wrong side out. Align the underarms and the notches and pin in place. Sew the sleeve in place with a 3/8 inch seam allowance and repeat to attach your opposite sleeve. Fold the neckband in half right sides together, aligning the short seam. Sew at 3/8 inch and press the seam open. Fold the neckband in half wrong sides together, aligning the raw edges, and mark the 1/4 points. Also mark the 1/4 points of the neckline. Place the neckband and the neckline right sides together. I'm going to place the seam of the neckband at the center back and pin in place. Sew the collar to the neckline with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, making sure you're using a stitch with a lot of stretch. A lightning bolt stitch or a triple straight stitch may be a good choice. Hem the bottom edge of your dress in the exact same way as you hemmed the bottoms of the sleeves, folding that raw bottom edge to the wrong side by 3/4 of an inch and edge stitching close to the raw edge with a stretch stitch. And now your dress is complete. Thank you for watching this sew along. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future sewing tutorials, and I'll see you in the next video.